Hello everyone, how are you all doing on this fine day, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are? Hey Michael, it's good to see you. Oh, hang on a minute, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Slap back, I should say. Don't know, there we go, that's better. Great to see you. Hope you're doing great. And Jeff, great to see you here as always as well. And I'm with you as well, Jeff. I've got a lot of catching up to do with Michael's stuff. And by the way, Michael, I saw the little ad that you did in, not an ad really, the promo video that you did in LGL, was it yesterday? Very impressive. Really great stuff. Oh, and another Michael. Hello, Michael from the UK. Great to have you here as well. I'm a little bit discombobulated. There's a word for 5 o'clock in the morning this morning because I was a little bit late getting up. I had not too much sleep last night, and so yeah, everything was a mess in the studio as well because I pulled a load of stuff out for my trip away. So I've just been sort of frantically putting everything back together again. So just got there in the nick of time. Anyway, that's enough of that, isn't it, really? So yeah, been away for this past week, and I had planned to do a few videos on the road, and I took everything with me that I needed to do that, but then promptly didn't have any time or couldn't make the time to do it. So never mind. It was it was well intentioned, but just too busy with other stuff. So I was down in I'm in the northeast of Thailand, but I was down in Bangkok on a business trip from sort of Monday till got back last night. So that sounds a bit like excuses, doesn't it? And I suppose it is a little bit. So if I show you where I'm up to with my 365 videos in a year challenge. I'm way behind now, and I'm another 6 videos behind basically because of this week. So only 204 videos, and yet we're on day 274. It's looking pretty tight, really, isn't it? I've got a lot of my work cut out for the next few months to catch up with all of that. But funnily enough, I did get 81 subscribers this week, which is another one of the probably second highest number in a week. So it didn't affect it too much that I wasn't actually posting this week. But anyway, let's have a little look at where I'm up to. I haven't even dug into my analytics. I don't really sweat them too much, but I do like to just check on them on a weekly basis. So let's have a little look where they're at. So yeah, just at 1,400 now. That seems to have come around quite quick, really. It seems like I was waiting for ages to reach the 1,000 mark, which I did just on New Year's Eve, or the day before that, I think. But yeah, it seems to have accelerated a little bit since then. So that's nice to see, and welcome to all you lovely subscribers who have joined. I'm glad that somebody is finding value in what I'm creating. It certainly does make it all worthwhile. It was something that I hadn't really anticipated, to be honest, when I started out. Obviously, there are tutorials. There are the whole basis of the channel is tutorials to help people. But it's just so nice to get all of the comments and feedback and stuff like that I get. So yeah, it's all really nice and very rewarding as well. So thank you all. Let's have a little look at the analytics, shall we? Just have a quick look. I'm not going to dwell too much on this today, but I'll just give them a quick look. I always like to just have a look at the overall view just to see how things have progressed. So you can see that after this last week, things have gone down a little bit in terms of views, but that's because my views are obviously made up as a combination of new viewers who are finding stuff through search and then subscribers as well. So if I'm not posting new stuff, generally subscribers aren't watching stuff because they've watched the other stuff. So it does tend to go down if I'm not posting. So that's quite expected there. And the watch time is a similar effect for this last week with not having new videos out. And then subscriber levels, though, as you can see, they're sort of more in this sort of upper band here, as opposed to bouncing around down here as they were in the beginning. They're still sort of consistently quite high every day. So between sort of 6 and 12, 13, 14 in a given day is sort of about normal, it seems, at the moment. So that's interesting. And the total revenue so far from YouTube, from the partner program, so from advertising and from super chats, things like that, is at 208. So that's just a nice little thing to see. Obviously, still not retirement money yet, but it's still nice that it helps to contribute towards the costs of various different things such as subscriptions like Ecamm Live that I use to make these videos. So that's probably a good point to mention. If you are new to the channel, all of my videos I make in one take using Ecamm Live, which is live production software that you can use to make videos like I make on my channel, all in one take. And you can also use it for feeding into things like Zoom. I've got a Zoom masterclass coming up. Still got some work to do on that. And it just allows you to bring a much higher production value into videos and also into meetings and things like that. So if you want to try out Ecamm Live for yourself, go to takeonetech.io/ecamm and get your free trial there. I genuinely highly recommend it. It's what makes all of this possible, and it's I know most of you in the chat know this, but it is the thing that sort of allowed me to make all of the videos that I wanted to make for my work related stuff, taking out editing from the process, because I'm not a fan of editing. Again, I know this is not used to you, Michael and Jeff, but it certainly has been a bit of a revelation, really. I'm thinking of starting, actually, it's been playing on my mind a little bit, not playing on my mind, been bouncing around my mind a little bit, to actually start a podcast or a video series where I'm basically asking other people what they're getting out of Ecamm and how they're using it. So I've got that on the back burner at the moment, but thinking of starting that up as separate to the live stream, obviously, but have people on a separate day to just interview them and find out how they're using Ecamm, because there are people being really creative with it and using it for some quite amazing things. So I thought that might be an interesting thing to do, as if I hadn't got enough things to do. But I've just got that on the list of things that I might consider. So that's that's just another little idea. Where am I now? Can you tell I'm all a little bit out of sorts today? So what's happened this week? Well, there's been a couple of things that ordinarily I would have made videos about. Namely, there's a new beta come out for Ecamm Live, which has got something that's right up my street. And then there's also an Elgato key lights come out. Let's have a little look at that, shall we? So this is the Elgato key light mini. Not personally into the whole Elgato lighting ecosystem. I know some people are, and they use them for obviously their lighting and various other different fixtures and things like that all link into things like Stream Deck, so you can control them from there. So it is a nice little addition to that range if you are using Elgato lights. But I suppose these are sort of similar to the Nanlite Lito lights, which are similar sort of size, but those are the ones, by the way, that I'll be looking to add into my my setup when I come to do a bit more development on my studio. But yeah, it was just a nice little addition, and they are quite a good handy size. But yes, not something I'll be looking at, but I thought it was worth a mention. But the other thing that's been happening this week is the new beta of Ecamm Live, which has come out, and that's got a couple of features, and both of them I'm very happy about. If I can find the little overlay, there it is. So this one is the big one, really. Ability to assign Mac OS shortcuts to different actions. So I'll come on to that. And the other thing is the overlays being positioned behind other locked overlays can now be moved. So I've had a few scenes where I've got something that was technically a full screen overlay, although it may be like a movie or something like that you couldn't see, but it did take up the whole screen. And previously in Ecamm, when you had a full screen overlay, even if you couldn't technically see it and it was locked, or you had something else that was locked that was covering it, then you wouldn't be able to move anything that was behind that, because when you try to click on the other layer or overlay, then it would obviously default to the front one, which was locked. Whereas now, if you've got a locked layer, then basically you can still move anything that is behind it. So in fact, let's have a little look at that, shall we? Rather than just try and explain that. It might be easier to do a little demo. In fact, I can probably do that this way. Let me just zoom in, see if I don't mess up everything. Here we go. So I'm now in demo mode, and I've got this overlay here. So let me just option drag it. So now we've got two of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, it's obviously a bit silly because one of them's, they're both white backgrounds. If I lock the top one, so this one is now locked, but you can see that I can still, as I hover over the one that is underneath it, I can actually move that one even though it's underneath that top layer, because that one is not That one is not locked, but this one is locked. So it's a great little addition that makes working with overlays a lot easier and sort of eliminates that little problem that we sometimes had before. So the other thing, though, that they've added in, if I just delete this little comment, the other thing that has been added in is they have added in support for shortcuts. Now, the thing about shortcuts is on the Mac, this is, as by shortcuts, I mean the Mac OS Shortcuts app, the one that was previously on iOS, and then they brought it over to the Mac. And so now basically you can add in different things from there. So let's have a little look at that, shall we? If I bring up my preferences, and then I will come in here and share this. There we go. So here we've got the preferences, and if I now go into this, this is Ecamm preferences, I should say. So now if I go into shortcuts, then basically you can trigger different macOS shortcuts. So when Ecamm Live opens, and you can add any one of your existing shortcuts, or when a broadcast starts, when a broadcast finishes, or when Ecamm Live quits. Now, I haven't done any setup for this because I haven't got any shortcuts. I'm usually a keyboard maestro guy, so I haven't really got into fully adopting shortcuts on the Mac, although I use them on iOS for since they've been around. But I really need to dig into things that you could do with that. So given that you had given that you've got these different options, so like when Ecamm Live opens, so you may want to set up shortcuts to maybe if you've got something like trip mode or something like that, you may want to have something that toggles that on when you open the app, or you may want it to shut down some other things, or when a broadcast starts, so things that you might want to switch on to do not disturb or something like that, and just have these so that they automatically come on and automatically go off when you start broadcasting, things like that. When Ecamm Live quits, again, you might have stuff that starts back up again or shuts down, however it is. Oh, hey, Eileen, great to see you as always. Thank you for stopping by. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to dig into to shortcuts and see how that can be implemented. I mean, it's got such deep integration with Mac OS that you can actually get you could get quite clever with it. So I'll be having a proper dig into that, and it's probably good really, because it will prompt me to take another look at shortcuts on the Mac and see what can be done with that. So it's expect a few more videos coming out related to shortcuts. So I like that. With the wrench comes great responsibility. Quite right, Michael. So in fact, let me just come down here a minute, because what I can do is I can give you all a lot of responsibility then. There we go, Jeff and Michael. There we go. You're all responsible now. We've got all mods in the chat. So yeah, I'll do a whole series on shortcuts, because I'm familiar with it, obviously, because I've been, as I say, using it in iOS for some time. I use it extensively on iOS. It's just Mac. I've just been a bit lazy, to be honest. I've been a bit lazy and just sticking with my keyboard maestro. So we'll see how that goes. To be honest with you, I'm just thinking about what else I was going to cover in this, because I haven't got a huge amount to say today. I have not got a huge amount to say at all. So next week, what am I planning to do? I am planning to do a few more videos. I tell you what, the bots are out in force today, aren't they? Yeah, this week I will probably do a little bit more about shortcuts, because I'll be diving into that and how to use it with Ecamm. I'm feeling, I don't know anything here. I've not got no inside information, but I'm feeling like this beta is got quite a lot of features, and I'm just wondering how long before the actual full release of this version of Ecamm will be, because it's been pretty stable. There haven't been any bugs as far as I can make out, or any major ones. There's always a couple of little fixes and things like that they do, but it feels quite ready. So I wonder what else is coming. I don't have the inside scoop ever, but it's always I'm always as surprised and delighted as anyone else when I see the releases come out. And incidentally, though, I was going to make a video about the beta, and I was down in Bangkok. Now, I've got my my Mac Mini is what everything's running on here, but I didn't take that down there with me. I just took my my old laptop, which I hadn't really used and or updated in well, months actually. So when I went down and downloaded the beta, and then I realized I didn't even have Monterey on it, so I went to go and start to do a video all about the new beta, and then realized that I didn't have Monterey on it, so I couldn't demo the shortcuts thing in any case. So that is definitely what I'll have to do. So let's have a little look. Matthew Casinelli, he is a master of shortcuts as well. I saw him on it was on Doc's stream actually. So I know that he's got some great stuff. I'll just write his name down because I do need to definitely look him up again, because he's a good one. The other one is what's her name? Rosemary Orchard. So she does a podcast called The Automators with I think she does that with David Sparks, I think. So David Sparks is another automation guru that I've been following for ages as well. But Rosemary Orchard has got a whole podcast all about automation, which is a bit of shortcuts, a bit of other things as well. I think she does things on Keyboard Maestro as well and stuff like that. So that's another great resource. So I'll be digging into Matthew's stuff a bit more. So thanks for that, Eileen. I'm going to try, to be honest, to have a little bit more focused direction. It's one of the things that I discussed with my content creation coach, Mr. Doc Rock, a week or two ago, which was trying to be a bit more intentional about the direction that I'm going in with the channel. Hey, Rich, great to see you, as always. Being a little bit more intentional about it, because I tell you the thing that I said to him was, I feel like I've been coasting a little bit, because I haven't really been doing anything innovative with the channel. Obviously, I'm aiming towards my goal, and so I've always had that in my mind about this 365 videos in the year. But I've had this feeling in the back of my head that I'm still just doing the same stuff. It's obviously, it's new content, it's new things that I'm doing, new tutorials, but I feel like the actual process and everything like that I've got has just remained the same. And so I need to be a little bit more proactive about just sort of evolving that as I'm going along, and not just sort of doing the same thing towards that 365 videos in a year. So you can expect to see a few more things that I'm doing on the channel over the next couple of months, so that I'm not just waiting until the end of the year to do it, which is kind of what I've got in my mind. I kind of thought, well, I'll wait till I'll hit 365 videos, and then I'll do a sort of review. I'll change things up a little bit, and I just kind of felt like, well, why wait? Why wait? I might as well be evolving as I'm moving along. So I've got a few little changes. I'd be interested to know, anybody in the chat, how many of you, if you are catching live streams on a replay, how many of you actually look at the live chat after the fact? Because I watched a Nick Nimmin video, one of his live streams just recently, yesterday in fact, and he was talking about how he just basically chops the front and the end off his live streams after the fact, so that when you watch a replay of his live stream, it does just go sort of straight into the content and cuts out like the timer at the beginning, and then sort of introductions and stuff like that, and saying hi to everyone in the chat and all that sort of stuff, and get straight into it. And there was a couple of things about it. Is, first of all, I immediately had noticed that when I went to watch his live stream on the replay, was it just went straight into the content. And second of all, it was the fact that he said, obviously you will lose the live chat by doing that, by cutting it off. But the people who are watching it on the replay are not necessarily interested in following the live chat anyway. So I'd be interested to hear what everyone else thinks about that. When you watch things on replays, sort of live streams on replays, are you interested even in the live chat at all? It'd be interested to hear that. Eileen, you do not look at Nick's replays if you don't catch him live. Well, to be honest with you, I don't really watch Nick that much. I don't know why, but it's just I don't have time to watch too many different YouTube channels, and I kind of focused on the one related to YouTube content creation, I'm pretty much Doc. That's who I kind of watch on it, and obviously all of the Ecamm streams and stuff like that. But I don't tend to watch too many other people that are talking about YouTube. It was just that there was a video that had come up that Nick did about it was about being on other platforms, and I found that really quite interesting, and how you should use other platforms to support what you're doing in YouTube. And so then I'd got an hour flight yesterday and an hour or two in the airport, so I figured, well, I'll just download one of his streams to watch on the plane, and I watched it, and it was quite interesting. But he just made that particular point, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So Michael, you watch the replay. Kat does the same thing, does she? Chopping off the front. And the end of the stream. Oh, hey, Paul. Great to see you. Moderator extraordinaire. And then let's have a little look. Hey, Sammy. How are you doing? Great to see you here, mate. And then we've got, let's have a little look. Oh, yeah. Adrian is doing a Zoom class. He's doing a Zoom with Master Zoom in a weekend with Ecamm Live, which is aimed really at people who are using Ecamm and getting better results out of doing that into Zoom. So yeah, he beat me to it really, but slightly different market though, so no hard feelings. Hey, Aubrey, how are you doing? So yeah, just thinking about the what to do about that. I might end up just chopping it off so that we don't go straight in. I'm going to be trying to be a little bit more structured about the live streams as well, although this one's a bit all over the place. Hey, DJ Right on Beat, Mr. Rob himself, and great to see you here as well. Nick is brilliant. Think Media Sean is very, very good too. I've watched, I did watch a few of his things before. I haven't had time to watch too many things, so I've got a really limited time now. And speak of the devil, the head coach is in the house. Hey, Doc. You've stopped watching him because he's talking about algorithms and strategy for systems and robots. I'm trying to focus on creating for people, not YouTube maths. Yes, I get it. He's also got a sort of he's very specific about his target demographic as well. That they are kind of more people that are really just sort of starting out. I mean, on the stream that I watched of his the other day, he was even saying, if you're up to 1,000 or more, then he was directing people to other people as well. But yeah, I don't have time for all of these people. So yeah, I've just been quite focused on where I'm spending my my time learning about YouTube. But it was interesting. I'd be interested to get your opinion on that as well, Doc. So he had mentioned about chopping the front and end off the live stream, and what your thoughts on that are with the live chat as well. Obviously, you would lose the live chat, but I can see how people watching on the replay would just be interested to sort of get into the meat of it, especially if you've got sort of really structured live stream going on. So. That's something that I'm definitely going to work on. Watching them make me adjust my stuff when I don't want to. I want to help real people. I want to get paid. I don't get paid much by YouTube. You all are the funnel. Yeah, totally. Good point. Don't cut because the resources are in the chats. That's a very good point. Yeah, people posting links and things like that. I hadn't really thought about that. I'm wondering as well, what are the thoughts on the actual length of the intro? Because mine's about 3 minutes, and I know that a lot of people's are 3 minutes. I can't stand it, but I've seen some streams where they've got like 10-minute countdowns and things like that. That just seems a little bit excessive. I'm wondering what the shortest amount you can get away with. It doesn't really matter because people can skip it, I suppose. So there you go. I'm just thinking aloud here. Only go to live chat if a reference to an article or resource is in the chat. However, if you get into the habit of pulling up the resources and comments on screen, it wouldn't matter. That's true. And then you could also, thinking about it, just post any links like that in the description after the fact, although that's a little bit, if there's something specific that you talked about, yeah, I'll have to think about this a little bit more. And yeah, well, I mean, I know especially for I was going to say our chats. I mean, Doc's our chats in Doc's streams. There's usually lots of interesting stuff there. And trimming is annoying because YouTube takes so long to process the video, and by the time I can trim, I'm busy doing something else. Yeah, good point. It is an extra step, isn't it? And you know me, I like to remove all of the friction as much as I can so that I'm not having to do extra work. Yours are overnight to be processed. I've noticed that sometimes they can take a little while. It seems a bit hit and miss though with me. I've not noticed any sort of direct correlation between things really. It's yeah, interesting. Michael's intro length is dead right. I'm just trying to think what Michael's intro length is now. I'll have to go back and watch. I'll have to check. I can't remember offhand. Yeah, so anyway, where how did we get onto this? Oh yeah, it was talking about just being a little bit more intentional about stuff that I'm doing with the channel and being a little bit more focused about it. So I am going to try and do that. And I think I talked about this a few months ago, having like a block in the week where every week is a particular focus on something. So perhaps this week I might make my my shortcuts focus. Yeah. It's hard, but I'm having to retain our community to stay on point, retrain, sorry, and stop selfishly sidetracking streams for themselves and not the greater audience. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it can be a bit can be a bit tricky when there's all sorts of side conversations, things going on, and getting distracted. But I mean, I'm certainly going to try and model what you've been doing of late, Doc, with your streams, where you've got to sort of clearly set objectives and are staying on point through that section, and then coming on to the chat later. That's totally true. All here trying to learn and grow. So yeah, that's what this is what I've got to do with these really, and just sort of be a bit more planned about them. The thing about these streams for me is I don't spend enough time sort of planning them. It always seems to just come to the it always just seems to come to the Friday evening for me before the stream in the morning, and then I'm just sort of thinking then about what to do it. So I need to be a bit more put a bit more forethought and have a little bit more respect for everybody to come up with all this sort of stuff before the fact. And so I do think about it more as a sort of produced video as well, with the sort of chat and everything like that at the end. But yeah, definitely I shall be working on that. And then it might be a case of having like a focus during the week, and then like say this week I was going to focus on shortcuts and things like that because of the integration that we've got in Ecamm. Then it'd be interesting to like have a focus on that in the week, and then have the live stream as something to just looking at Doc's comment there, that made me laugh, as something to have a sort of live stream about the content in the week. So yeah, still sort of working out all these ideas in my head at the moment, to be honest. But that is where I am. Quite right. Loose nuts will get tightened. We've got lots of wrenched people in here today. In fact, it looks like even all wrenches in the chat. So yeah, all the moderators can moderate themselves. But that is, to be honest with you, that is about me for today. I think this might be my shortest ever live stream. I've got quite a little bit of things to get on with this morning, and so I've not got a lot to chat about. Unless anybody fancies popping on for a chat about any of this stuff. In fact, let me stick my link up. I'll give you all 5 minutes. I'll give you all 5 minutes to decide if anybody fancies popping on for a chat to chat about anything that I've chatted about today, or anything else for that matter. I mean, let's be realistic about this. I will stick that up there. So takeonetech.io/join. Oh, hang on a minute. Aubrey, hang on. How have you not got one as well? Everybody's a moderator. Let me... Oh, there we go. Hey, Caleb. Great to see you. I noticed you'd posted a video in the Discord, the LGL Discord. I've not had a chance to watch it yet, but I will go and check it out. And you were mentioning something about it taking a long time to process. I was just saying earlier that I don't know if you caught it, but I noticed that my sort of processing time is hit and miss. It obviously depends a little bit, I suppose, on the length of the video, but sometimes the processing seems to be done really quickly, and other times it's taking a while. So. But I'll go and check out your video a little bit later. And yeah, hope you're getting on well. It's great to see all of your stuff developing as you're in the thing. hang on a second. A few of us are mentioned in it. Oh, well, I'll definitely check it out then. The video was 6 minutes. Oh, yeah, so it's pretty short. Oh, wait a minute. We're gonna get some education here now. Here's a funny thing about processing. I'm on the edge of my seat. Actually, I'm not. I'm standing up, but I'm on tiptoes waiting. And the thing about processing for me is because I just put my things up and make them live, but I think it was Rich who mentioned about actually uploading them, but then just sort of leaving them to process before they're made sort of live, so that you do get this sort of full resolution one up there from the beginning. Because I tend to just upload it, fill out all the details, click, upload, and then it's done. So yeah. What I could do is actually just sort of delay it for a couple of hours to allow for that sort of processing, so that people are watching it straight away as soon as it's technically live, are watching the full resolution one. Hey Roberto, nice to see you here. Here's the funny thing about processing. People are selfishly thinking about how long to take for their video to process. Here's a question: how many videos got uploaded that hour? Well, yeah, there you go. It's all it's all related. That was Nick's suggestion, was it? With the delayed or the scheduling it a couple of hours later or something like that to allow for the processing. Yeah, I'm not really that bothered about it. I just I don't complain about it if it's taking a while, but I just it's just interesting. The same with the live streams as well. Sometimes when the live streams are finished, then the processing with that for people to sometimes people can't view the live chat and things like that immediately afterwards, but you get about 40,000 hours of video each hour, 24 hours a day. That's pretty, when you put it like that, it's quite a lot of computing power they've got going on there. So how was the week away from streaming? Well, it was, yeah, I was intending to do some making of videos while I was away, but yeah, just didn't get the chance. I almost did one. I literally got everything set up. I'd taken my Stream Deck with me. I'd got my sort of mobile setup, as it were. Was going to make a video about the latest beta, and then realized my laptop wasn't on Monterey and didn't have time to and the reason why it needed to be on Monterey was to use the shortcuts function that's been added into Ecamm. The theory is that you get higher retention with higher quality video. Somebody sees low res, they could ditch and never come back to rewatch. Yeah, totally. It is. Yeah, I definitely need to start doing that. I mean, for the sake of a couple of hours, it's not like people are hanging on the edge of their seat waiting for my video the second it's made. Here is an idea plan for the processing. When I drop videos on Friday, I post them on Wednesday. Curious how compact your mobile setup is. And my mobile setup is basically in this little thing. It is my in-ear monitors, a little Rode lavalier mic, a little adapter to plug the lavalier mic and the headphones into my computer over USB. It's the two Nanlite Pavo tubes behind me, but used as the two key lights on either side. Not really key lights, but you know what I mean. The ones on the either side. Certainly in a little hotel room, it improves the lighting. So when I'm sort of with it on either side, and then using my iPad Mini with camo plugged into the computer, so that was my my camera. So that was the extent of it, really. But it did improve, because even though I was down there, I was still doing a lot of Zoom calls and Teams meetings and stuff like that as well while I was down there. So it just meant that it improved the quality of my image on those. So, but I was going to do some videos for the channel, as I say, using that same sort of setup. Audio was great. The picture was good. Camo is a really great app that allows you to use your phone or your iPad camera or something like that as your camera into Ecamm, so all of that works perfectly, and that can feed, as I say, into either for recording or feeding into Zoom or something like that. So yeah, pretty mobile. Happy birthday, Orbs. It was a few days ago, wasn't it? Yes, but happy birthday indeed. Belated happy birthday. Quite right too. So yeah, that was my setup, Caleb. Just pretty mobile. I'd obviously got my I'm losing my train of thought here. I'd got my iPad Mini. I was going to keep saying Mac Mini then. There, and then this basically is just my little audio fits into this little hard shell case. So that was that, and the Pavo tubes, and all fit into my lovely Ecamm Mod Squad bag. So I was there supporting Ecamm on the road or in the air, wherever it was. Yeah, never considered using iPad with camo. It is great for that, until there was one moment in a meeting when I suddenly realised, I was like, oh, I'm going to make a note, and I got my Apple Pencil, and then I started looking around for my iPad and realised that I was using it for the meeting. So I'll have to remember that next time to not rely on my iPad for note taking. And the only reason I didn't use my phone was just because the iPad was easy to just sort of set up, and then I was still making calls and stuff like that. Yeah, Mod Squad. Oh yeah, there we go. Get the Mod Squad hat. Somebody has clipped this even tight. Hang on a minute. Oh, there we go. It needs to be on the. It needs to be on the last snap, unfortunately. Well, I say unfortunately. Fortunately, that it actually fits. There we go. Mod Squad on tour. I didn't get anyone coming up to me and saying, oh, Ecamm user. There's not many Ecamm users up in the remote northeast of Thailand. Yeah, so Stream Deck was. I didn't take the actual base itself. I didn't take the the big base. The big base. It was just the actual top part of it, and then the what are they called? Pavo tubes, the nanolights as well. I did take the actual hardware version with me because yeah, I still like the clunky keys, and so because I travel light anyway, I actually had room for a heavy Stream Deck, so I did take it. I did wonder what airport security would think as it was all going through, because it was basically just a big mass of buttons, lights, wires, and all that sort of stuff in there. But I guess they're used to all of that stuff now. So had to spend the last 30 minutes having to report people reposting our content. Oh, that's not very it's not very sporting of them, is it? The mobile version for it is good. I do use the mobile version sometimes, like actually at my desk with the hardware version. So sometimes, like if I'm doing a recording videos, not so much from a channel, sometimes for the channel, but if I've got stuff where I've got like a load of things that I want to bring up, like overlays and stuff like that, perhaps, or little images or things like that, and I'm not doing it using Keynote, bringing it in that way, then I'll sometimes have the iPhone version of Stream Deck as a place to just sort of throw a load of different slides, images, or something like that I'm just using for that specific presentation. Then it means that I'm not rearranging all the buttons on my main Stream Deck, and so I have those just to bring up different things, or perhaps there's overlays that are flying in or something like that. So I use that with this one as well. Just with an old, it's a great use for an old phone. So I've got an old iPhone 5S X or 5X or whatever it was. And so yeah, I've got it on there. It's a great little addition. Oh, hey, David. Great to see you here. And indeed, yes, it is the 15 button as well. So it's not quite as big as the regular one, but still plenty of space on there. I always recommend people, if they're interested in getting a Stream Deck, just try out the mobile version to see the functionality of it. You don't get the same tactile feedback as you get, obviously, from the buttons, but yeah, it's a good way to check it out. It is indeed relative. So yeah, but it works flawlessly though for me. So yeah, it's a great little addition. Yindi Tongapan. Yeah, I came back yesterday. I think that is what you're saying. Gapan being go home. Oh, you have it on the iPad, do you? So is the iPad still 15 buttons as well? Does it just come up as like a really massive scaled thing, or how does that work? I've never tried it on my iPad actually. Repurposing old iPads as an external monitor with the Duet app. That's another good use. It is good that these devices that we've got can be repurposed and put to a bit better use after they're sort of being replaced by other things. Usually mine get passed down to my my kids as well, so there's like this flow of them downwards. Yeah, it's funny. There's a sort of habit with a lot of Thais actually writing in like Thai in English in chat and things like that. Yeah, there's a word for it. I can't remember now. Where it's Thai written in English, I can't remember the word now. They've got a little slang for it. The equivalent in Thai in text speak for LOL, laugh out loud, is actually the numbers 555 because the number 5 in Thai is ha, so 555 is ha ha ha. So that is how they that is what they use instead of LOL over here. We'll give it a try. I believe the mobile has a 14-day free trial. It does indeed, yes. And yeah, that was how I tried Stream Deck. When I first heard about it, I thought, I want to see what the interface is like. It's great because you get to practice if you aren't already using one. And probably most of you are, but if you aren't already using one, then you get to see how the app works and how you can program stuff, and then just sort of see the responsiveness of it, I suppose. So it is a great little way to try it out. And I did that and thought, right, I'll give it a go and try it for 14 days and see if I like it. I used it for like a couple of hours or a day or something like that, and then went and bought the hardware version. But I've still subscribed to the ongoing thing for the mobile version because it's only what is it, a couple of dollars a month, something like that. I think maybe is it $3. But yeah, definitely worth it as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it's scaled up on the iPad. So you still got 15 buttons, but it's just massive. That might actually be quite good because you've got much bigger sort of touch targets to aim for. Because with the mobile version, because it's not as tactile as the hardware version, you don't have obviously the buttons. You're just hitting the screen. Then I can see how actually having it on the iPad might actually be good because you can clearly see where stuff is. And interesting. I might have to give that a go. Stop wasting iPads on teleprompters because universal control is amazing. I'm just laughing at that one. Your Ecamm trial lasted 14 days, lasted 2 hours. Yeah, I know, it was a bit like that with me. It was seeing you actually, Doc, on Mac Break Weekly mentioning it, and it was just in the time when I was sick of OBS. And by the way, I got sick of OBS really quickly as well. And then I was the same with Ecamm. It was a case of, instantly right up my street. Yeah, the thing about iPads for teleprompters is, and other things is, if it is your main one, then it can be a bit of a waste. But if you've got old hardware lying around that isn't being used, then it's interesting that you can repurpose these things. And the universal control, that's the Apple one. That's the one in the beta of Monterey, isn't it? Where you can use one keyboard and mouse for for different things. I haven't tried that out yet. I do want to because it does look pretty slick. Bought the XL after watching all of the contents that we produce. Well, yeah, I mean, I can't remember whose specific videos that I watched about them, but it's I don't want to say game changer, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's a game changer. And I can't believe all of the stuff that I now use it for. I mean, I bought it for doing this, really, for the video stuff is the reason I bought it. But now this is like a small fraction of what I use it for. It's just become kind of like such a productivity tool. Still in beta. There's a lot of people do that actually. so you had Ecamm for 5 months before got around to using it. There was somebody in the Ecamm Facebook group was saying that they've had it for a year and just never really got into using it or had the time to do it. I suppose it just depends on where you are in with what you're doing. That it's something you've got to work into your flow. So there are a lot of people, I think, in that situation who have got something and you haven't put it to use. Speaking of which, that reminds me of the loop deck because it's unplugged at the moment because I had to borrow the cable for it. But that's something else that I've still not got into my workflow. I've mentioned this a few times, but maybe this week I'll try and make an effort and get that into my workflow. I've just been a bit too comfortable. I think that's my problem. I've been a bit too comfortable with how everything's set up and working, and just been too busy with other things to think about. Right, let's get my head down and try and be a bit more creative with what I'm doing. So Maestro and Ecamm. That's Maestro the cat, I'm guessing, not Keyboard Maestro. In my case, I wouldn't like anyone to take away Keyboard Maestro. My productivity would go down. So yeah, I've got past the point where Keyboard Maestro is like a rabbit hole. So there is a lot of people who, I say a lot of people, I've been there as well, have this whole thing about productivity and automation and spend more time on the thing of productivity as opposed to actually being productive with it. So I used to listen to so many productivity podcasts, try all the productivity tools and stuff like that, but I'm fairly fixed now on what I'm doing, and I used to probably spend more time researching tools than they actually save me. But now I'm just quite fixed in them. I suppose that's part of the reason why I'm a bit apprehensive about suddenly starting to dive into some of these things like shortcuts that I was talking about earlier, because I've got so many things that are just fixed up and working perfectly. But with the shortcuts, I'll just try and ease into it slowly and figure out what I can use with Ecamm first of all. That'd be a good starting point, and then just slowly build up from there. I think the mistake a lot of people make with these sorts of things is to try and think of absolutely everything that they can do with them, and then set up all of these things, and then promptly sort of forget all of the things, and they haven't built the muscle memory. I'm speaking from personal experience. That was my approach with Keyboard Maestro when I first started using it. I can't remember how long ago now. Was it 12, 15 years ago, something like that? I thought, right, let me list all of the things that I could do with it, and then let me try and program all of those things, and then let me promptly forget all of the keyboard shortcuts that control all of those things, and so let me never use them again, having wasted a load of time. So that was my approach at the beginning. Once I saw all the possibilities, was try and do everything, and so just basically started again bit by bit and grew everything up incrementally, just looking at what it can do, and then get one or two things into my workflow before moving on to try and do the next one. So that's the approach I need to make with shortcuts. But it can be a bit of a rabbit hole. That is it. It is, once you are optimized and found your flow, it's harder to add in more, even when it can be a game changer. Yeah, it can be like that. But again, it's just a case of having an open mind and being open to new things. I mean, let's take Discord as an example. I was a bit reluctant for Discord. We're been in a couple of groups where they were saying, should we do this on Facebook or Discord? And it was always a case of, well, I know Facebook. I'm using Facebook, so let's just stick with that. But obviously, having seen what's been done in Doc's server, hey, Doc, great of you to stop by. Have a lovely lunch. But yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Just a case of getting out of our comfort zones a little bit and trying something new. So that is what I shall try and do with shortcuts, and maybe I'll make that a little bit of a feature this week to see how far we can get with that and what integration I can get set up with it with Ecamm. It'd be a nice little series, and then maybe I'll report back at the end of the week on my next live stream with a stream about shortcuts. Maybe that might be a plan. In fact, I think I've just made a plan, haven't I? 5 videos in the week about shortcuts, and then a live stream about shortcuts too, and that can be the focus of this week. Discord is brilliant. It is such a indeed, growth mindset always wins. Quite right. And what better place than in the Let's Get Live server as well. It is just really great in there. I mean, the organization to it is just so much better than the Facebook group that we were using before. And I've been in a couple of servers. I think it was probably the servers that I'd been in up until then that had sort of put me off Discord, because they can be a little bit, if they're not managed properly, if they're not organized properly, then it can be a little bit off-putting for using it if there's not sort of great organization and things like that. But obviously we had the master Keeley as the main architect of this server, and so there's such great organization. It's all been done in a really great way that is just totally conducive to learning and sharing information. So yeah, definitely interested in that. I've still not got any further with my Discord server, so there's only a couple of people in it because I haven't officially opened it yet. But I will be working on that, and that will be more focused on obviously anything that I'm doing on the channel and stuff like that as well. But then having a little bit more of a focus on stuff like automation and that sort of stuff, the sort of things that I cover on the channel. Stream Deck, obviously, Keyboard Maestro and all that sort of stuff. So I want to say Mac productivity, but it is more sort of, I mean, automation is about productivity. But yeah, I'm going to probably not go into the tools that I use like OmniFocus. I'll perhaps touch on them a little bit, but yeah, OmniFocus is something that I use heavily. I have been using that for years and years, and it is sort of how I plan everything that I'm doing for work, life, everything. So I'm really quite entrenched in that. But it is one of those things that is a little bit of a productivity rabbit hole as well. And so I've sort of stood off from doing videos about that. I will do a video about how I'm using Stream Deck with OmniFocus, because somebody's asked specifically about that before. And it's all sort of related to the Stream Deck stuff. But yeah, the whole Getting Things Done methodology by David Allen. If you haven't read that book, Getting Things Done by David Allen, it is a great way to stay on track and organized. But I'm not going to go down that track with the channel as such, just because it's a whole nother channel, really. And it can, as I say, people can spend a little bit too much time on it as opposed to actually implementing it and doing it. So I'll perhaps give that a little miss. So you've been on Discord since 2017, depending on the community. Yeah, that's the thing. I had a little bit of a bad experience with it. That's not bad experience. It just wasn't a great community. That was one of the first that I tried out. And so therefore, it didn't give me a good, user experience of the platform. So that'll be interesting. I'll definitely keep you in mind when I get ready to, make it available. You never heard of OmniFocus? Let me just introduce you to OmniFocus then. Having said that, I'm not going to cover Getting Things Done on this channel. I will just introduce this very quickly. Where has it gone? Omni Group Task Management Software. There we go. So yeah, omnigroup.com. They make all sorts of applications. They're all related to OmniFocus, but sorry, they're all related to, I suppose, a little bit like productivity and stuff like that. But there's OmniFocus, there's OmniGraffle, which is used for charting, and a few other ones. Let me have a little look. OmniOutliner, which is for making outlines, you know, where you've got sort of a hierarchical structure. I thought you were going for lunch. I thought it was safe to mention OmniFocus. And switched from OmniFocus in 2016 to ClickUp. No plans to move. No plans to move back, I guess that is. Yeah, I'm still totally entrenched in OmniFocus. It is just it's just to become it's that muscle memory. I know how to do to find my way around in OmniFocus, and everything just ticks over for me perfectly with it. So I'm not looking to switch yet. I have looked at ClickUp, and what was the other one? I forget what it's called now. Another one, another app that is similar to ClickUp, which I thought I had on here as well. Let me have a little look. Notion. I did have a little look at Notion to fill in some of the gaps around OmniFocus, but OmniFocus is just purely a task manager, Caleb, and it's built around David Allen's Getting Things Done methodology. And just in to give you a brief overview of that, the whole concept behind that is that as well as having tasks, a lot of people will just have like a list of tasks, but there's no sort of context to them. So there's no point looking at a task list that tells you that you need to, I don't know, paint the outside of your house when you are 200 miles away in another city, because you can't physically do it at that time if you're looking at like, right, what can I physically do now? So having some sort of context to where things are available to be done and like the mind frame you're in. So I have one that is just like, if I've got a few minutes, I have one that is basic and I'm at my computer, then I'll have one that is just like quick tasks that I can do, that I can just quickly fire off. So it'll just present me in that, when I'm in that mind frame, I could just bring up a view of all of the things that I might physically be able to do at that time in that mind frame. Or if I'm traveling and I've only got my phone and I've got a list of things that I need to do that would be on the phone, then or that could be done on the phone, then I'd be presented with those. So the concept of getting things done is that, having that sort of context to tasks as well as just the actual task themselves. But then also in the planning of projects and things like that, where you are grouping things together. So there's a particular project you're working on, for example, having a structure to it in terms of, well, if this task can't be done physically until this other task has been completed, then there's also no point to be shown that one at that time if you were just looking for like, what's the next step I can take to move things along. And so having that sort of aspect to it as well means that if I'm in a work mode, I'm only shown my sort of specific work things for that project that I'm working on, and also only the things that can get done. So it's just sort of encouraging you to think about like, what is the next step that I can take? And so, yeah, you don't need to sort of necessarily plan out everything, although you can, often if I've got a specific project that I'm working on, then you can just look at like the next step, but you can also plan out whole sort of sub-projects and little things like that, so that you can then start off with it and it will just guide you through like the different things that you need to do. But then you can also have some that are location specific as well. So I actually use it for things like shopping lists, to be honest, because if I've got something that is related to a project, then like, for example, the studio build, if there was stuff that I needed from the hardware store, for example, for here, and those were required pieces before I could like make my acoustic panels, for example, then if I'd got a project which was studio build and I'd got a sort of sub project which was building the acoustic panels, and then I'd got a list of things that I needed for that, like screws, wood, things like that, then they could all be just put in as an item in there to be ticked off, and also be location specific. So you've got things that are geo-fenced, so I could say like at the hardware store, and then when I arrive at the hardware store, it just pops up with a list of all the things that I need to buy, so just sort of click them off. I do the same with just general shopping. If there's stuff that I think, oh, next time I'm out at the supermarket or in the shopping mall, I need to get that, I'll just put it into OmniFocus, and then when I get there, it just pops up on the phone saying I need it. And so, yeah, it works really well. Also things like, when you get home, so if there's certain things that you need to do when you get home, or if you're in the office or something like that, then yeah, it's sort of location aware as well. So OmniFocus is what I use basically to just sort of for everything that I'm doing. So it's a really powerful app. And yeah, the Siri can do some of these things obviously as well, like remind me about X when I get home or when I get to the supermarket or something like that. So it can do that sort of stuff. But yeah, Siri can't really do the whole sort of organization of everything. Although you can do, you can have OmniFocus linked in with reminders. So I do have that. I have different reminders lists in the Apple reminders. So I tell Siri to add something to my shopping list or to add something to my other list or whatever list it happens to be. And then OmniFocus does grab that and pull it all in. So I am adding stuff into OmniFocus using Siri. So I do that. But yeah, location aware shopping lists rock. They totally do. Yeah, it's it's quite good. You just get there and it's just like bling, the thing pops up. So yeah, don't forget things from the shops anymore. It does. It's yeah. I mean I tried lots of different sort of productivity systems before I discovered Getting Things Done by David Allen, and yeah, that just totally made complete and utter sense to me, and I've never tried anything else since then from a productivity system point of view. And OmniFocus is basically built around that. So it was sort of using that whole concept of the getting things done as a basis for the the sort of architecture for it and how it works. So if you are a fan of getting things done, then OmniFocus is a great tool to use with that. But there are other ones, like as Michael said, things like ClickUp and so on can do similar things. It's just that I've been an OmniFocus user for years. I am to be F2P. Am I missing something? I can't just think what that means now. Ecamm falls into the vital category. That's right. Duck doesn't have Siri, he has Paul. Did they now? Oh, so Ken Case is the developer behind OmniFocus. Well, the mastermind behind OmniFocus. I'm sure they've got a few developers now. So Apple got that from them. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's a smart guy, Mr. Ken Case. I do use some of their other products. So they've got Omni Outliner is OmniFocus actually was born out of Omni Outliner. So people were using Omni Outliner to sort of simulate the idea of the GTD system, and so then they developed OmniFocus as an extension of that, and it's just become something so much more now. OmniGraffle is a great one for doing little charts and layouts and stuff like that. Although, to be honest with you, I haven't used that one as much these days. I've started just using things like Keynote and stuff like that. But they've got some great products. And the other thing about OmniFocus, I should add, and the whole getting things done system, this is a crucial part that is not to be missed, is a review process. So you have like weekly reviews, monthly reviews, and so you can have things on your lists, but then you might have some that are, they're not sort of top priority, but you still want to keep them on the back burner. But then at some point, you come and you're doing your reviews and you're thinking, do you know what, this thing has been on my, someday maybe list or on my, lower priority list, and then clearing those things out as well. So if there's things that you aren't going to be doing, but having a sort of a weekly review process that you go through where you review certain things. And in OmniFocus, you can set the review period for things as well, and you can sort of offset tasks. So if you've got particular projects that you think, right, I'm going to push that back a few months, you can put that back, and then it doesn't just constantly come up on your weekly reviews, but you might want it on monthly, quarterly, or annual reviews or things like that. So the whole review process is another great aspect of it, because it allows you to sort of keep on top of your goals and things like that. So I do have much longer term goals that I keep in OmniFocus, and it allows me to sort of keep them in my mind. And then, at certain times you just think, right, well, this thing actually does need to move up into something that I'm going to start planning out. So it allows you to capture those ideas and goals and things like that, and then come back to sort of build on them and develop on them when you've got the time. And so by constantly having reviews, you're seeing things at these different intervals to keep on top of the short-term tasks, whilst also not losing sight of longer-term tasks and goals and things like that. But at the same time, you're not just overwhelmed by, sorry, Doc, I had to say that word. You're not just overwhelmed with the too many, things. If you just saw all of the tasks at once that I've got in OmniFocus, it would just be like a mass of them. And you just think like, where do I begin? But with the organization, you're never actually presented with the whole thing. You are just presented with things in manageable chunks. I think I got away with overwhelmed. Oh, I see. I never heard that one. F2P, free to play, as in free to use. So let's have a little look. So I get what you're saying. So you are free to pay as much as possible, and Ecamm falls into the vital category. So no free to pay. Yeah, well, yeah. If there's something I'm using and it's helping me be more productive, then does it save me more time than my time is worth to pay for it? And so OmniFocus, Ecamm, Keyboard Maestro, all these sorts of things. It's a kind of, it is a no-brainer really. There was somebody in the Ecamm group a while ago saying something about how they felt like Ecamm was expensive, and I worked it out, and it was like, well, it's actually, you know, about $1 a day for the thing thereabouts. So if you can't think that you can use it in something long term to make more than $1 a day from it, then yeah, I guess it is expensive. But really, you're not trying if you can't do something like that with it. Not UK Live. I'm talking about this other chap who was talking about Ecamm. So yeah, yeah, Ecamm's just no brainer. Yeah. So well, there we go. Having I know it is cheaper than Starbucks. It's it's cheaper than Starbucks. It's amazing the way people prioritize things, isn't it? I had a friend who I use this particular type of multivitamin, and it's quite it's not expensive, but I forget what it is a day. It works out because you drop a little tablet into the water and it all fizzes up, and then something like that. And I said to my friend, "Oh, don't you use these?" He said, "Oh no, they're a bit too expensive," and yet I don't drink, but he'd go out and have 5 beers that cost 50 times more than these little things. It's like one of them's for health and the other one is just alcohol. It's amazing how people prioritize stuff, isn't it? And yeah, Starbucks, it's amazing. If you compare anything to Starbucks, you can surprise yourself with how cheap things are, especially when you start thinking like, oh, I have a Starbucks every day on the way to work or something like that, or 2 or 3 or whatever it happens to be. Then yeah, do the calculation of that over a year. It's quite eye-opening sometimes. Yeah, the Pro features on Ecamm. Although the thing about, actually, having said that, people do pay $2 for extra cheese. Quite right. J.K. Rowling doesn't think Microsoft Word is expensive. It's just a tool at the end of the day, isn't it? Yeah, the thing about the Pro features on Ecamm. So the thing that I do like about that is that there isn't anything really prohibitive about the lower version of Ecamm. It is a nice extra cheese is worth it. Starbucks isn't. Yeah, with Ecamm, with the Pro features having things like, okay, it's got interview mode and the live video to go into things like Zoom and stuff like that. But the great thing about it is there isn't anything that's really limiting for people who just want to use it for creating content, making videos, doing live streams and stuff like that. So I think they've got a really nice way. You know, the people who are on the regular version of Ecamm aren't left thinking like, oh, like I can't do overlays, or I can't do this, or I can't, there's nothing there that is like mission critical, if you like, for actually getting the most out of it. So I really appreciate their the pricing structure on that when I started using it, that is. Because I did start on I didn't start with the Pro, I started on the regular one to sort of find my way around it and that. And then it was just when I could see what it could do and wanted to go into Zoom and do the interview mode and stuff like that, then yeah, I paid for the upgrade. But yeah. It is indeed great value. Right. Well, with that, on that note, that little Ecamm is great note, let me wrap it up. And I'm going to say thank you very much all for coming. So this next week, I shall be focusing on shortcuts is the plan. I'll do a little bit of digging, and then I will report back next week. But thank you all for stopping by. It's been great seeing you all. And I will catch you all, no doubt, somewhere online, maybe in the Discord, maybe on a video somewhere. And yeah, have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you all again very soon. And for those watching on the replay, don't forget, there are some more great videos over to the right-hand side.